If you've ever thought to yourself, why do I feel behind everyone else? Or my friends seem more successful than me. I want you to know that you're not the only one feeling that way. A lot of people in their 20s, they're quietly asking themselves the same question like, what do I do when it feels like everyone else is ahead of me? And I'm going to show you how to escape that comparison trap in your 20s so you can stay focused on becoming the person that you're meant to become and not the version, you think you're supposed to be. Now, in my last video, we spoke about how your purpose, it's not something that you're expected to already know, especially when you leave school. You build purpose through passion, from trying things, being curious and giving yourself time to grow and work out what it is that you really want to do. But while you're doing that, it can easily look like everyone else around you, they've already got their life sorted out, from the jobs that they have, the money that they're making, their drive or their direction, or even their confidence. And that's usually when comparison, it really starts to creep in. But I don't want you to worry. I also fell into that trap in my early 20s. Whilst I focused on growing my business, I had very little money and I had no time to travel, like my friends did. They bought nice cars and some even bought property in their early 20s. And to be honest, it did make me feel like I wasn't achieving. So don't think that you're alone, as this feeling, it's somewhat normal. But fast forward 30 years, and I can tell you now that your path is not supposed to look the same as theirs. They don't live your life. They don't have, your personality, your strengths, your background, or your goals. They don't see the work that you're putting in, and you don't see the parts of their life that they don't talk about. So don't worry, as I will show you exactly how to escape the comparison trap. My name is G-Cornell, and this channel is dedicated to helping people create their own destinies. I've been in business for 30 years helping brands sell more of their products and services. So whether you're a young adult trying to find your path or an entrepreneur looking to grow your business, I will show you how to cope and succeed in your journey whilst enjoying it along the way. So let's get into it. Your path is yours. No one else lives your life. If you don't want to fall into the comparison trap, then it's important to remember why you do what you do. Now, in my last video, I talked about the importance of using your passion to find your purpose. And this is so vital for everyone to have purpose in their lives, because without it, you may end up living a life without meaning, and that would be an absolute tragedy. And once you find your purpose, you need to stick on that path, and be true to yourself. Remember that everyone's purpose is different, from their goals or aspirations, even down to their emotions and also their circumstances. Your life's direction is personal to you. Your 20s are the time where you're still trying to figure things out, what it is that you want to do. And finding meaning in your life in your 20s, it isn't instant. It happens through trying new things, from learning, failing, and adjusting. This is normal. This is navigating your 20s. It's not supposed to be a playbook for other people's lives. Your journey is meant to follow the decisions that you make, so you need to remember this when you feel down in yourself, because otherwise, trust me, you're always going to feel inadequate. And know that your timing is personal. And the beauty of this is you get to choose, right? You get to decide your journey, and no one else should get to decide your timeline. Very important. You don't even want what other people want. If you were to pick 10 of your friends, all around the same age as you, and say out of that 10, how many of them want to do what you want to do for a career? Would it be some of them, all of them? Well, I'm guessing it would probably be, none of them, or at best, maybe one, right? Then out of that same 10, how many have the same drive or ambitions? And it doesn't matter if you've just left school or even if you're a few years down the track, you will clearly see that each one of them have different things for themselves, right? Different lives. And, let's go a step further. Say your friends have different goals or ambitions, then it's also fair to say that they will also take different paths, correct? Well, in knowing this, you will also follow very different timelines for when you or they may achieve their goals, true? So you can see here that comparing yourself to someone chasing different goals makes absolutely no sense. So when you look at someone else's life, online and think to yourself, should I be doing that too? Just pause for a second. You're comparing your path to someone who doesn't even want what you want. And this is where comparison and self-worth get mixed up. And that's why you should focus on purpose versus comparison. Now, I'm not here to call you stupid because, I did exactly the same thing, Yet human nature will always make us feel like to see what others are doing, and it will make us question, why is it that we don't have that? And that is why it's important to emphasize that you're not behind. You're just walking a very different road, and your road will look and feel very different to others. You don't share the same strengths or starting points. Everyone has a different story to tell, and as individuals, we all have varying backgrounds, personalities, talents, strengths, and even circumstances. And I recommend that you go back and watch some of my other videos on either business or mindset, because it is applicable. I talk about this in length where I say that business isn't for everyone, as an example, because my strengths or traits are very different to others. But this doesn't mean that I'm better than anyone. It only means that my path is built around my very own unique set of circumstances and my abilities. And the path I have chosen should not be compared to others, as this is my path and your path is yours. And there's a lot of pressure in your 20s to look confident and certain, but learning how to handle pressure in your 20s, it's not about pretending. It's about learning how to build confidence whilst you're still feeling lost. And confidence grows from doing, not from already knowing. Remember that everyone is shaped by their own abilities or environment, and you're shaped by your story and not others, okay? So your unique traits are not weaknesses, they're your competitive edge. So use your strengths wisely, and if you do that, then you will see your story unfold for the better. You only see what people show and not what they struggle with. If I had to look back to when I was in my early 20s, when I was comparing myself to others, I can honestly say that it was much easier back then because we didn't have the internet or even social media. So I would hate to think how hard it would have been for me back then if I had social media to constantly remind me of, what I didn't have or what I hadn't achieved yet, yeah? A big part of learning how to stop comparing your life online is remembering that social media shows the destination, not the journey. People share the result, not the years of uncertainty, frustration or, doubt that came before it. People are posting about how good their lives are or how much money that they have. But it's not often that you see the same people post about their struggles, because that could make them look unsuccessful or even weak. Influence, they don't like posting about doubt or confusion or insecurity whilst they're on their journey, but you do see influencers talking about all their hardships, once they've made it. And why? Because during their time of pain or struggle, they don't want to be feeling vulnerable so the real world can see it, because they're scared of being judged by others. So just remember this when you're feeling inadequate or when you're comparing yourself to others on social media. Just know that you are comparing your reality to someone else's, say, highlight reel, and not the edits that didn't make the cut. So know this, that you are not behind. You're just seeing the edited version of, say, someone else's life. They don't see the work you're putting in. I know this is going to sound brutal when I say this, but it's true and you really need to hear this. No one cares about you in this big bad world. You are on your own and you will face your challenges alone, and everything that you struggle with will be on you, and trust me, only you. Don't expect praise along the way from others who don't know you. Don't seek approval from others who don't care about you, and don't expect anything from anyone in their quest for success, because we are all running our own races in our own time and place. And others don't look at your ongoing struggles or your failures, right? As they are too busy trying to work out their own lives. You will see people fail along the way, but guess what? Life goes on. And why? Because in the end, we all have our own path and journey to fulfill. And yes, you might get praise when you're successful from people, who don't know you or haven't seen everything that you've been through. But the growth no one claps for is the growth that transforms you. So if you've ever wondered, how to grow when no one sees it, then this is how. Growth is quiet. Early progress happens in private. The key is learning how to stay patient whilst building your future, even when there's no recognition yet. And remember that your progress counts even when it's invisible. And just because others don't see it, doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means that you're growing at your own pace, on your terms and in your own time. So be kind to yourself and give yourself a pat on the back every now and again, because if you don't, then chances are that you're just going to miss the journey. And trust me when I say this, the journey is where it's all at. It's not at the finishing line. Trust me on this one. Compare yourself to who you were, not who they are. Now, remember earlier when I said that you need to find your purpose through your passion, yeah? Well, the beauty with passion is that it usually makes you, feel excited, right? And if you're excited from your passion, then next, your brain, it's going to start mapping out actions that lead to purpose. And with every action that you take is a milestone in your growth. Your growth simply means that you're learning from your past experiences, and more often than not, your experiences help make sure that you don't make the same mistakes twice. And with growth come opportunities. And it's in these opportunities that can lead to big accomplishments, And the only thing that you should really be comparing yourself to is the growth from your past experiences and challenges, and not from the success of others. Remember that real progress, it doesn't happen overnight. And as the word progress suggests, it's a progression of events that make you better. So if you're becoming stronger, more aware, and even more capable, then you're winning, even if no one knows it yet. This should be your benchmark, right? Focus on to trust your own timeline. Your life's not meant to be rushed. learning how to stop rushing your life in your 20s, it's part of developing real strength. You are building a foundation, and foundations take time. You should strive to be better than you were yesterday and remind yourself of this all the time, as as often as you can, because if you don't, then you'll always be in a state of constant doubt and regret, and your journey, it won't mean anything worthwhile. And mate, believe me when I say this, if I could go back to my former 21-year-old self, I would have told him the same thing as I'm telling you this now, because it probably would have saved me a whole lot of pain and anguish. I didn't know in my 20s where I would end up or how successful that I would become. I always hoped and I was confident, that I would make it, but I didn't have a crystal ball to see, how every little action or progression, it would turn into big opportunities. But this is what I've learned from being in business for 30 years. And I'm here to tell you that your life is yours, and you get to choose your own adventure on your own terms. So you need to own it and trust me, just make the most of it. Now this wraps up my video today, and I want you to know that you're not meant to live someone else's life, okay? You're meant to live yours. So stop rushing and stop comparing, please, because your timeline's unfolding exactly, as it needs to be, because your purpose is following your passion now. So keep moving forward, and I can promise you that your time is coming. And if this video helped you today, hit like and subscribe, as I'm going to keep sharing real, practical advice to help you figure out life, business, and everything in between, so you can feel more confident about where you are now and more excited about where you're going. And drop a comment below. Tell me where you're at right now, from what you're working through, or even, what you're trying to figure out, as I would love to read them. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.